fun because it made her grounded. It made her grateful. It brought her gratitude. And that helped her. I had another client who liked to say a short prayer, something just kind of remind her that she's not alone or whatever. So it can be something that's personal to you, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with ability.
Nope.
That's what's kind of beautiful. It can be whatever you want. But it has to be something you do every single time on every single run in order for it to be consistent. When an example of what I used to do when I would sing, that was I wanted to be famous. Apparently that didn't happen, but I wanted to be famous when I was little. And so I wanted to sing. I thought that was going to be my route to success. I was going to be a famous singer. So before I would walk on stage, I would always have the exact same ritual. I would pray the exact same prayer. I would say, Lord, please help me touch someone with my song today, and please help me remember all of my words. Amen. And then I would yawn, because yawning lowers your energy level, and I wanted to calm myself down, so I would yawn, and I would take a deep breath in, I would exhale out, and as I was walking on stage, I would remember my first 3 words to whatever the song was. Now, the purpose of all this was because I didn't want to be self-serving, so I wanted to connect with people. I knew if I connected with the audience, then I wouldn't worry about hitting notes, because it was about the feeling that they were going to receive from me, not about hitting notes. So that's why I prayed what I prayed. And my big fear was I was going to forget my words. So I was like, well, he'll remember them and I don't have to. So that was just my philosophy. So that's what I would do. It worked for me. Not going to work for everybody. So just to give you an idea, you can do whatever you want to do with that space, but it needs to be consistent every single time. All right, any other questions or examples?
One person said that they gently pinch their pup on the end of his nose to let him know that they are about to do something fun.
Oh. Whenever they make it fun for the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be your point of initiation. Okay? So then your point of alignment is going to be something different. It might be in your mind reminding yourself, we're going to have so much fun. This is going to be great. I'm so excited. It can be something like that. And then whatever you do to release your dog, whatever that word is or whatever that action is, that would probably be the point of focus for most people. Okay. Any questions on this part so far?
All good.
All good so far. My dog Bo is snoring right next to me. You know. Okay, so then we have the action. The action is the actual run. A couple of thoughts on this. I think that while you're running, you should be positive. And I think that your evaluation of your run happens after it's entirely over, which means we don't evaluate or celebrate while we're running. So we do not evaluate what we've already done. Like, oh my goodness, that was bad. And we don't think about that until after we're done. And we don't celebrate that this run is amazing until it's over. I had a client once tell me, actually they always ask, like, what did you learn today? Like what went well? What did you learn? What are you going to do about it? Those are the primary questions. And she was like, so I learned something. And I said, great, what did you learn? And she goes, I learned that I need to not celebrate until after the last jump. Because I knew we were running fast, we were running clean, it was an amazing run, only one jump left, and so in my head I'm like, we got this is great, and my dog took an off course and it didn't, and so it's a great thing to know when you disconnect from what you need to be doing. Your dog then does what they want sometimes, right? Or they just do that, Barbara, where they just kind of create the course they want if you're not fully connected?
Yeah, because if we disconnect, what happens is inadvertently our bodies tell them something different. And so they're, whether it's, we disconnect and so they come back up on the side that there was original connection on, or they take an off course because, you disconnected so your chest turned in that direction. That happens all the time. The other thing that I get on my students about, so not only don't celebrate too early in your run, but also how many of you you've been running a run, you're clean up to this point, and a bar drops.
Yep.
And the moment the bar drops, you're like, oh, because you then cued, and you literally give up on your dog. And because now you can't focus, because now you know you're not clean and you've given up on your dogs. And I always get on my students about that, because I say to them, do you get frustrated or annoyed if your dog goes off and sniffs or just leaves you in the ring? You know, I hear people say all the time, my dog's blowing me off, which it's not that, but that's a whole nother dog training thing. But that annoys us as handlers. How is it any different when we do the same thing to them? If something happens, they take an off course, they drop a bar, and you just give up. Well, you're doing exactly what they do to you that makes you so angry. And so, but that they still love us at the end of the day. So don't celebrate in the middle of your run, and don't analyze and beat yourself up in the middle of the run. None of those things are beneficial.
And I'm going to say, you don't even get to beat yourself up after the run. You don't get to beat yourself up at all.
Yeah, that's never
How incredibly cool is that?
I learned that the hard way.
But I also agree on this idea that if something happens in the middle of the run, and even though it might be a disqualification, and maybe you're not clean, does that mean that you have to stop? Don't you continue, or does it depend on the type of event?
You can continue.
So,
I mean, it's very, very, like, sometimes at big events, you might have to leave the ring, but that's even few and far between.
And the thought I had here is, how do you recollect and continue? Because if you're able to do an entire run without your dog knowing that anything was wrong, or that you felt anything different, or if someone can watch you and they have no idea that you thought anything of a mistake, that shows some composure. Mm-hmm. And I actually think that that's brilliant, because you're going to have mishaps that happen, and the rest of that run might teach you something. There might be something really great that happens in the second part of that run, or the last part of that run, that is beneficial to improving your self-image. So if we focus on the one thing that wasn't great, we miss the opportunity to reinforce the 20 things that were awesome.
Yep.
So, don't evaluate or celebrate during the run until you're out of the ring. Well then, so how do we evaluate? Well, I'm going to tell you. We're going to reload. When we reload is what we think about after the action. It's a 3-step process, because we really like 3s here at Mental Management, and it relates to the self-image. So what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate the action. You have 3 choices. Imagine that. You have 3, not 4. You have 3. 3 choices. Your action, your run, was either great, it was okay, or it needs work. That's it. Those are your options. If it was a great run, that means it was an amazing run. It was the best we could do. I'll take that run every single day. And so that's an easy run to evaluate. Awesome. That was great. If it's okay, there's 1 or 2 minor things that you probably could have done better, but all in all, you'll take it. Not a bad run. If it's needs work run, that is not a good run. Okay, so that's a run that you really think wasn't great, but you're not going to qualify it as horrible. You're not going to label it as bad. You're going to say it needs work. And then you're going to ask yourself, what work does it need? What do I need to do better next time in order to make this run great? If I were to rerun it, what would I change? And then we're going to rehearse that correction. If it was great, we're going to rehearse without any correction because it was awesome. We're just going to rehearse it one more time. If it's okay, we're going to rehearse some minor corrections that we would do. If it needs work, we're going to rehearse the major corrections that we needed to do, so that our last rehearsal is actually positive. Our last imprint about that run is actually positive, so then we can let it go. You don't want your last imprint of a run to be negative, because that's what your self-image takes in and says, yep, that was bad. You want your last imprint to be positive. So you're rehearsing a correction, and then you let it go. You don't talk about it anymore. You don't dwell on it anymore. You put it in a box and you move forward. All right, any questions on this? Your reload is a mental rehearsal of what it feels like to perform the task. It imprints the self-image at the most opportune time, which is immediately after the action, and it dilutes any negative environmental imprint. So basically, if something happened, you have a dropped bar, or something happened within that run, by rehearsing what should have happened, or what you wish would have happened, or what will happen next time, so you're going to fix it, then it's a positive imprint on top of the negative environmental imprint, and that helps grow self-image. All right, so we've talked about preload mental program. We've talked about the run itself. The other thing I would say, there's two qualifications. I think there's two things during a run. You need to be positive and you need to be present. Like focused right then and there. Not thinking ahead, not thinking behind, but present. I think positive and present are two probably really good goals too for a run. All right, now we're going to talk about a day. A trial day. You need to preset your day. What does that mean? To preset the day, you want to rehearse what you want to feel during the task. So you get to rehearse how do you want to feel while you're at this event. Another thing that I would do, if you have been journaling well, you can go back to your journal. If you're trialing at a place you've been before, you may want to go back and look at your notes from the last time that you went. There might be something that you wrote down that would be beneficial for you to know. That's something you might want to do a couple days before the event. The day of the event or the morning of, you want to rehearse how you want to feel. You want to rehearse performing well. Oh, I guess I could go back. I kind of slide through that. Rehearse performing well. I also think you want to put yourself in the right mood to be able to go and trial. I like music. I think I would listen to some really great pump you up playlists on your way there. You want to have a great checklist of all the things that you need to make sure you take with you. Make sure you have everything. I was telling the Tuesday class, I had a client once who told me she got all the way to her trial and forgot her dog and had to go back.
It just kills me.
That's kind of an important piece of the puzzle. I don't know. Maybe she had more than one dog. I don't really remember. But you want to make sure that you have everything that you need. Maybe you want to get there early. Maybe you want to look at your GPS ahead of time and see, well, where am I going? What are the potential things that could be in my way? The other thing I'm going to say about preset is you want to remember, who do you want to talk to? What interactions do you want to have on your way to a trial or while you're at a trial? I hear a lot of people who are in agility or in dog sports in general. They're very successful people outside of agility and really successful jobs. They're really taxing jobs or stressful jobs potentially, where maybe they can get a lot of phone calls. And it could be that this is what you do to kind of get away from some of those parts